MindsEye is here. Is it actually worth playing? Looking at the Steam reviews, everyone says it's not, but it can't be that bad, right? The story actually seems pretty interesting, and there are moments where you could consider this game quite impressive. It's got mouth-to-mouth quick action events. The city is filled with traffic as well, and the AI don't really seem to know how to drive. And there's no first person in driving, and apparently this is what you look like. Yeah, this game is not finished at all. There's a lot of bugs, the performance is terrible, but there are pieces of something here that could make this game somewhat enjoyable. Firstly, if you enjoy story games and you like getting involved in a story, then the story here is actually quite interesting. However, if you're the person that wants to play a big open world action game, this is not for you. In fact, for the majority of the start of the game, you don't even get to free roam. It's locked and you can't get out of your car at any moment. You're stuck doing whatever mission it's telling to you one by one. You got some driving sequences, some walking through building sequences, and yeah, of course, the mouth-to-mouth quick time event. You know, some shooting as well. Gameplay-wise, everything feels a little lackluster, and it's the most on-the-rails open-world experience you could ever get your hands on. You do get this vision of this beautiful open world, but you never get to explore it, at least until you unlock free roam mode. It seems what the MindsEye developers have done here have created a very curated campaign experience that you're supposed to go through without really much choice or freedom on how you interact with the game. And there are some elements that make that a bit more interesting, with this sort of drone that can be a companion with you to help elevate combat, and a variety of weapons and the typical sort of third-person action cover shooter stuff. It's not groundbreaking by any means, but it's not terrible. And like I say, the actual story elements are fairly interesting, and the cutscenes are well done, the voice acting's pretty good, and player models themselves are really good during the cutscenes. Unless you have the wrong anti-aliasing setting on, and yeah, this gets kind of irritating. But once you've completed the campaign, you basically unlock this tool, and you can then create your own game experiences, share those with other people, or play the developer-created experiences instead. So you've got this campaign, you follow it through, you learn about the story, and you get immersed in this MindsEye storyline. And like I say, there are some interesting parts about it. I was quite entertained by the story as I followed it. But if you're not into that, you can't skip cutscenes, and the actual gameplay that ties these story elements together are less interesting. Honestly, they could have done a better job just turning this whole thing into a TV series. It probably would have done better. Now, whatever game modes and tools that people could make with this sort of build mode, I'm not sure. I mean, it's a cool custom creation tool, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of tacked onto the main game, and besides the main story, there aren't any other experiences for players to delve into. There aren't side missions. There aren't special events that could happen as you explore the world, except for, like, you know, this happening. But you can't even interact with that. You can't get out of the car during the campaign. And if you go too far away, the mission fails and you've got to start again. Oh, and if you accidentally run over a civilian or two, nope, the cops won't start chasing you. You'll just fail the mission and have to restart. Like I say, this is the most on-the-rails open-world experience I've ever played. And, you know, if you want to immerse yourself in a story, then you could play this. It's probably going to last about 10 to 15 hours, and you'll probably enjoy it. Like, the storyline is quite interesting. The characters are interesting. I have nothing to complain about there. But everything else about this game is far from what anybody expected, and I can't see it really doing very well. And I think that's one of the major issues that MindsEye had. No matter how much they put into developing this game, no matter what their vision was, it was not marketed well enough, and everybody kind of wanted to compare it to Grand Theft Auto, expecting some kind of open world action experience, and instead what we've gotten is somewhat of an open world that you're then put on a rail that you have to follow, and you're then taken through this story and campaign. And honestly, I do think the story's quite good. Like, I really was quite invested in it. The emotions coming through from the different characters is really, really clear from the get-go. You have these different sort of budding friendships between the main character and his best friend, and you have these, you know, there's emotion there. The character there is actually really well done, and I do want to praise the dev team who worked on the story. Really good job. The voice acting is great. Whoever they've picked out for the voices for these characters, they've done a really good job there as well. So great shout out to the voice acting. Overall, like I say, the story experience, really good. I'll give it a 10 out of 10. But you're just constantly reminded about things whilst you're playing that take you out of the immersion. You know, you're driving along and suddenly you want to just go into first person mode, and you suddenly realize that you transform into some weird humanoid being instead of, you're not in a car anymore. And then as you drive along a little bit longer, you suddenly see all of the cars in the distance just popping in and out of the ground for whatever reason. And oh, that car, the guy randomly spawned in and out of his car. Oh, and then trucks just randomly start crashing into the road, and there's dustbins flying over. There's just so much random glitchiness all over the place that it takes away from the story. And, you know, I'm enjoying this game, trying to get myself immersed in this world, and then suddenly weird, goofy stuff like this happens. I guess all of this stuff could be fixed over time, and perhaps that will make the game more enjoyable. Perhaps they should make the game less on the rails and open up the open world mode immediately to give people the freedom to do that. I feel like the developers are a little bit scared of giving players tools to experience everything too quickly, and they've almost made the intro to the game extremely sluggishly slow, and I wonder if they've done that to try and get people's playtime over the 2-hour mark so that they can't refund it on Steam, because the meat of the game really only starts to kick in once you've been playing it for a few hours, and then by that point, there's not much long left in the campaign before you're done. I honestly think what the developers should have done is given this game just a little bit more time. I don't know why they've released it already. It's not ready. They should have created a bit more of a connected experience between the free roam mode and the campaign, and so you have this feeling of an open world, because the world itself looks really cool. And when you get the chance to go through the city, you know, during certain campaign missions, it's really quite beautiful. And the story's there. They've crafted this big, amazing place in the future. You've got all these different cars and stuff. It feels like its own place. This is not an asset flip. They haven't just bought assets off of the Unreal Store. These things are all crafted from scratch. The characters are crafted from scratch. The story delves into quite a scary topic about AI and how it could potentially overtake and go AWOL, right? That element of it's really interesting and creative, and it's very relevant in today's world where AI is starting to become something in our lives. But it's just missing something. If they were to give it another year and try to connect the dots a little bit better, add some side quests, some extra missions, create this free roam experience, and that will just pad out the game a lot more, create a much more meaningful, immersive experience. And honestly, the game would be a 10 out of 10. If they could fix all of the bugs and glitches as well, there's so many graphical issues. I've got a 4090, and the performance isn't great. If I turn my camera angle on the car whilst I'm going too fast, it gets real choppy. It shouldn't be doing that on a 4090. If I don't have the right anti-aliasing settings on, like I said earlier, the game looks disgusting even in the cutscenes. There is so much more work to be done on this game, and honestly, I do feel for the developers, the people that have actually been working on this game every day, because there's the groundwork for something amazing. And unfortunately, this game has come out even worse than Cyberpunk 2077. So to the MindsEye devs, I hope that they kind of see this as feedback and they look at how to make this game better. We've seen it happen before. This might not be the end for MindsEye, and they potentially have plans to keep this game going for a long time. So, hey, this is the ground. They can improve upon it and build something quite special, because the pillars are there. They are there, but they've got a lot of work to do yet.